Welcome everybody. Okay, so today we're just going to jump straight into it and look at the start looking at the content. So first thing we're going to be looking at is symbols that can pull out model information. So symbols, notes can be sort of the words can be interchanged with respect to this functionality, but you can see on the example there on the right, basically that's just showing you like the syntax that we use in Creo, but the resulting note that we see on screen would actually have the name of that model, or sorry, not the name, the description from that model. So this allows us to sort of keep things up to date, make it smart, make it update as well, and also have the ability to then reuse that note multiple times throughout our drawing. So some good examples are things like if you have a part number in your model, if you want to show the revision level and things like that, then yeah, this can all be done, all updates in real time. If that parameter ever changes, like the description in the model changes, then it will update on the drawing in real time. Okay, this works. Today I'm focusing on the 2D environment. I think that's what most people use, but this same sort of syntax, the same exact syntax actually, works in the 3D version of drawings, otherwise known as MBD. Okay, so clearly shown there, the bottom is the syntax. So where it says ampersand, that's the trigger to get a parameter. Okay, and then the parameter name, parameter underscore name, that's whatever your parameter happens to be called in real, in the model. And then the ATT underscore MDL just means attached model, right? So whatever model that node attaches to, that is where we're pulling the information from. Okay, so that's the key there. If we would just put ampersand description, that would probably pull the parameter from the drawing or from the top level assembly, which we might not want it to. So that attached model is critical. All right. We'll then go through and look at and talk about repeat regions. I'll show you demos for these later. So, repeat regions are BOM tables. Obviously, they're part and parcel of generating a 2D drawing. We have lots of control over those tables, how they appear, what they show, so on and so forth. They're very highly customizable. We can sort them, we can apply filters to remove certain objects. We can also take it to the next level, and if we are including something like mass in our table, we can do summations and things like that to tell us the total mass and report that in a table. And yeah, we can do nested tables, so table within a table. It starts to get a little bit complex, perhaps not something for today, but certainly that's something that can be done. If you look at the images that I've shown there, this is the same actual BOM table that I've listed there, and it's just had a couple of attributes changed in it, and so you can see some differences that are in how it appears. And if you look on the left, it's just very simple, high level, but on the right, we've actually decided to effectively try and replicate the assembly structure. So we've included some indentation there. And also just down the bottom on the left there, we see we do have the ability to create like rule-based filters, which would say, in this case, don't show me anything that's of an assembly. Okay, maybe we want to see that, maybe we don't. It depends on our particular setup. Okay, but there are lots of options there. Okay, if we're thinking about if we go back to, we talked earlier in our series about drawing templates and things like that and drawing formats. And when we set those things up, we do have the ability to call out information from the model or from the drawing or even from a system parameter. Okay, so just spelling this out now, we have effectively 3 different types of parameters that we can call out. Now, I will point out at the start here, the syntax again is the same. We use the ampersand symbol at the start to trigger that. So same as what we did with the note, okay, before, or the symbol. Okay, and so ampersand parameter name could be ampersand description or ampersand description with the :D. I will point out here this this :D it has controls where we're pulling that parameter from. So if we just use parameter name, it will pull it from either the part or the assembly, whatever the drawing is of. Okay, if we use :D, then that actually pulls that same parameter name from the drawing. And so if you're not familiar with that, drawings can actually have their own parameter set, and hence these two actually are different. Okay, and so important to know that. Okay, so if we're pulling ampersand description, we're pulling it from the model. If we're pulling ampersand description :D, we're pulling it from the drawing. Okay. Now the second thing is system parameters. So there are a whole bunch of these things that are defined, and you know, we can help you find those. But if you just did a quick search on PTC's website, you would find a list of these. But these are things that are not a parameter in the model, but they're a system type parameter that we want to call out. So you can see the examples there. Drawing name, that'll call the file name of the drawing and put it on as a note on the drawing. Okay, model name, that will pull out the file name of the model. Scale is the drawing scale for that particular sheet. Current sheet of total sheets is something also useful to do. So if you're physically printing this out or you're putting it to a PDF, then that information can be just captured. You don't have to manually update it. All right. The third thing is sort of split really into 2 areas, but basically it's anything else. And so basically what happens if we do this, the prompt is automatically converted to text. So and it just depends on whether the user is prompted or not for that text, but at the end of the day, it becomes captured as plain text. So for example, we could put a prompt in our drawing format for ampersand drawn by or ampersand approved. Now, those parameters don't exist in the model. They're not a system parameter. So what happens is when we create a new drawing, we get prompted for those up front. And it will say, what is the value for this? And effectively all that happens is that whatever we type in becomes part of the drawing as plain text. Okay. Now, with the system type parameters that work in a similar way, an example there is today's date. So what would happen there is that we don't get prompted for that because the system already knows today's date. It will just put that date in as text though. It's not gonna every time you reopen the drawing update, and I don't think you would really want that. So that's why this works a little bit different. Okay, but when we set our drawing formats up in this way, it'll just ensure that we maintain a little bit of consistency across our output of drawings.